Think of the determiner in the adjective as two colleagues doing one shared job. That job is to show the grammar of the noun phrase, number, gender, and case. German is strict. The job must be done completely, but only once. Now look at the chart. On the left, the determiners have a complete paradigm. They change their form for case and number. By the time the adjective appears, all grammatical information is already expressed. Nothing is missing. So the adjective is not allowed to repeat the work, it switches to a reduced non informative form. In the plural, that form is en. Here the adjective is present, but grammatically passive. It agrees, it does not explain. On the right, the situation is different. Those words do not have a complete paradigm. They do not reliably show the case. Some of them do not inflect at all. So when the adjective appears, the grammatical job is unfinished. In that case, the adjective must take responsibility. It has to show the case itself, and that is why its ending changes. E in nominative and accusative plural, en in dative plural, er in genitive plural. The adjective is now grammatically active. The text below is simply the chart in action. When the determiner already carries the full grammar, the adjective stays in en. When the determiner does not carry the full grammar, the adjective takes over and marks the case. That is why you see gute Freunde after numbers and quantitative words, but guten Freunde after determiners with a full paradigm. It has nothing to do with how obvious plural is. Zwei marks plural more clearly than diese, but diese marks the case and zwei does not. German does not care which colleague does the work, it only cares that the work is done once and exactly once. That single principle explains both the chart and every sentence in the text. Have a look at it. And now one more curiosity. Diesen Jahres is one mistake native German speakers make, but it's not the only one. And that's why this is such a good little curiosity. Native speakers are misled here in two different ways at the same time. First, there is the false analogy mistake. People hear nächsten Jahres and letzten Jahres so often that they internalize a surface pattern, en Jahres. Once that pattern exists, it gets extended automatically, and diesen Jahres feels perfectly natural, even though it is grammatically impossible. The ear follows analogy, not structure. But there is a good second native speaker mistake, and it goes in the opposite direction. Many native speakers also start to avoid the genitive altogether because it feels old fashioned or insecure. So instead of saying nächsten Jahres or letzten Jahres, they replace the structure with something else, often without noticing that they have changed the grammar. You hear forms like nächstes Jahr im Januar instead of Anfang nächsten Jahres, or people just hesitating, reformulating mid sentence because they are unsure whether the genitive sounds right. So, on the one hand, some native speakers overuse the genitive by analogy and produce diesen Jahres. On the other hand, other native speakers avoid correct genitive forms like nächsten Jahres altogether because they feel stylistically unsure. What makes this entertaining is that both mistakes come from intuition, not from lack of education. One group trusts sound patterns too much, the other mistrusts the structure entirely. And right in the middle sits the correct system. Nächsten Jahres, correct adjective genitive singular. Letzten Jahres, correct adjective genitive singular. Dieses Jahres, correct determiner genitive singular. Diesen Jahres, tempting, widespread, and wrong. This little corner of German shows something important. Native speakers don't know the rules, they navigate by habit, and when habits collide, even native intuition produces errors. That's why this works so well as a bonus. It's not about learning a rule, it's about watching the language trick its own speakers.